Number 10. This is a story that happened to me when I was just 5 years old. I am now 27, and it's still one of the creepiest things that has ever happened to me, even though I didn't know it at the time. So, every now and again, my mum and dad would have a date night together, and they would get a babysitter to look after me. This was good, because the babysitter was a friend of the family, and she never really minded coming over to look after me, because I was never really a nuisance. The babysitter was about 19 years old. I can't remember for definite. So most of the time she was just on her phone, while I played or watched TV. One day when she came over to babysit, I asked if we could go to the park seeing as it was still bright out, and there was about an hour until tea. So she said yes, and I went and got ready. When I was ready, we set off to the park. When we got there was only one more mother with 2 kids, and other than that, we were the only ones there. So I went off onto the slide and swings and etc. She was sat there on the bench talking to her mate on the phone. After about 5 minutes, this man, who was on his own, walked into the park and just sat down on the bench. He didn't have any children with him, but at the time, I wasn't bothered by it because I didn't think much of it. The woman with the 2 children started to leave, and so it was just me, my babysitter, and this weird man who just came on his own. He kept looking over at the babysitter, noticing she was on the phone, and then kept looking back at me. I guess to see if she saw me. After a while, he stands up and starts walking over towards me, while my babysitter is still on the phone, oblivious to everything that's happening. He starts talking to me. He asks me for my name, so I tell him. And then he tells me his name, and then starts saying stuff like, "My mum told me to come pick you up early. The babysitter knows about it, she's on the phone with her now. So come with me and I'll take you home." At the time, I wasn't really aware of stranger danger, so I agreed. I went down the slide one last time, and as we were leaving the park, the babysitter still hadn't noticed. Just as we exited the gate, I turned back towards the babysitter and shouted, "Goodbye, I'll see you next time." She looked over towards me, dropping her phone and screaming my name, all whilst running over towards me. The man who was holding my hand noticed this, turned around, saw she was chasing after us, then let go of me and started running. She grabbed a hold of me, asked me what the hell I thought I was doing, and took me back home. She asked me why I went off with a stranger, and so I told her that he said he wanted to take me home, that my mum had told him to, and that you were on the phone with her. Anyway, when we got back home, she had rung my parents to tell them what had happened, and they came home straight away. Needless to say, she was fired soon after for being neglectful. I will admit, I do feel kinda bad for her, but then again, she was nearly the reason why I got kidnapped, or maybe worse. I surely hope that no one else got caught by this guy, and that maybe something happened to him. But I never saw anything in the news, so I'm not too sure. But to the creepy guy that did try to take me, let's not meet again. Number 9. This is a story that happened to me during the recent clown sightings. So, I was working late one night at work, and didn't finish until about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. The walk from work to my house is about half an hour, if I walk at a normal pace. So, I just left work, and I start walking. There's no one really about, and I only have the street lights to illuminate my way. So after about 10 minutes of walking, I'm just on my phone and listening to music, and not really paying attention to that much around me. Then I see what I think is a person just ahead of me. So I pause my music and look up, and about 100 feet in front of me, I see a clown walking over the road, staring me down. I continue to walk, because if I turn around and walk that way home, it'll take me about another half an hour extra, plus the half an hour that I already have to walk. So I just think he'll do nothing and carry on walking towards him. When I'm about 20 feet away from him, he stops, and so do I. I keep my guard up just in case he might try something. And then, he lifts up his hand and points behind me. I turn around, and about another 20 feet away from me are 2 more clowns, just looking at me, staring. So now I'm in the middle of 3 clowns, and the only way I could go is into a forest. I'm panicking at this point, super freaked out and no idea what to do. I can't really call someone, cause I feel like the moment I get on my phone, they'll just charge at me, and I can't really run past them, because they'll probably end up overpowering me and capturing me. So my only option is to go into the forest and run as long as I can. So I start walking towards the forest, acting all normal. As soon as I step foot into the forest, I start running, and hear that they're chasing after me. I've been in this forest many times before, and I know of this one place, which is kind of a ditch, which I think I can hide out in, if I just get enough space in front of them. So I'm running as fast as I can, them still chasing me down. By the sounds of it, they were about 30 to 50 feet away from me, but it was really pitch black, so they wouldn't really be able to see me. I'm getting close to the ditch now, and as I turn the corner, I just slowly start creeping down it, trying not to make any noise just in case they hear or see me. So I'm just lying there, in the ditch, holding my breath, trying to make as little sound as I can. And I hear them running towards me. The footsteps getting louder and louder, and I can hear their laughing. Their laughing is just busting in my ears. They end up running past me, and carry on the trail, not noticing that I've gone into the ditch. I'm so scared at this point. I have no idea what to do. Do I get up now and run back? Or do I stay here a little while longer, and just wait until I know I'm safe? After about 5 minutes, they start walking back towards where they came from, and I hear one of them say, "Why did we let her go? We could have easily caught her." That's when I started to freak out. I tried not to breathe or move, just in case they heard me. When I'm sure that they're gone, I get up out of the ditch and carry on in the forest. I know it's probably not the best idea, seeing as how it's dark, and there could still be someone in the forest, but I needed to get out of there. I start running back home, and get back within about 20 minutes. I don't call the police, because what can they do? I'm just sitting there, thanking that I didn't get caught. If they'd have caught me, what would they have done to me? I don't really want to think about it, but I hope they never actually caught anyone else. Well, to the 3 creepy clowns that chased me in the forest, please, let's not meet again. Number 8. So this is a story that happened to me and my sister when we were younger. I was 13 and my sister was 11 years old, and we were alone in the house, because our parents trusted us to be alone, while they went out for a night out. So we were just sat there watching TV, and we start to hear this banging noise coming from upstairs. We go to check it out, but we don't notice anything out of the ordinary, and we don't see anything either. So we just go back downstairs and start watching TV again. After about 10 minutes of watching TV, we heard another bang. At this point we were both looking at each other, freaking out, wondering what the hell was going on. We stand at the bottom of the stairs, and just wait, listening to see if there was another bang. And after about 10 minutes, there were 2 consecutive bangs. We started freaking out. We got the phone and called the police immediately, and then we called our parents to tell them to come home now. We still stand at the bottom of the stairs listening for something, and then we hear what sounds like a drawer opening and closing, and then a door closing. It sounded like it came from my room. Like someone was in my room, looking through the drawers, and then it sounded like they went into the closet. I don't want to go upstairs just in case there was someone there, because with the sounds, there more than likely was someone. So we just stand at the bottom of the stairs, freaking out, waiting for the police to arrive. After about 10 minutes, it seems like hours, but the police finally turn up. We tell them that we heard some bangs coming from upstairs in my bedroom, and that we thought someone may be in our closet. The police go upstairs, into my bedroom. There's no one there. So they open the closet door, and still nothing. They come back downstairs and tell us that there's no one there, but we assure them there was definitely something. Just as they're about to leave, we hear another slight bang coming from upstairs. One of the police officers happened to hear this, and goes back upstairs to investigate even more. 2 other officers follow up behind him, and we are getting even more scared at this point, because they nearly didn't believe us, but they heard the bang too. They check the closet again, and still there's nothing, so they start feeling the wall. And it turns out that there was a hole in the wall, and someone had crawled inside of it and was hiding in there, with a knife. They pull the guy out of the hole, take him downstairs in handcuffs and put him into the police car. All while they were doing this, he was staring at me and smiling. He got put into the police car, and then my parents came home. It was like something out of a movie. As my parents came up to hug us both and check we were okay, the guy in the police car was just staring at me and smiling. The police officers assured us that there was nothing else there, and that we would be safe from now on. We were so freaked out that night that we couldn't even sleep. What would have happened if he wouldn't have made another slight bang while the police were still there? I may have been killed that following night. But thankfully, he is caught now. And hopefully, nothing like this will ever happen to me again. So, creepy guy who hid in a wall in my closet and probably wanted to kill me? Let's not meet. Number 7. This isn't my story. It's actually my mum's. But I'm going to tell you it in the same way she told me. So, before I was born, my mum and dad lived in this rundown apartment in a pretty good neighbourhood. It was usually pretty nice, like no crimes, except from maybe the 1 or 2 robberies every now and again. So my mum and dad were on the couch just watching TV, and my dad goes into the kitchen when there's a knock on the door. My mum went to go see who it was while he was just making a drink, and there was this guy stood there, saying that he was selling something. She didn't know exactly what he was selling, but he had something in his hand and was trying to give it to her. He kept saying stuff like, "If you buy this product and let me in, I'll show you how it works." My mum just kept saying she wasn't interested, but he kept persisting that he wanted to sell it to her. After she denied about 5 times, he said, "Look lady, just let me in your house, and I'll show you how it works." After she said no again, he tried pushing the door open and getting in the house, saying that he's going to show her how it works. She kept forcing the door back onto him, saying she wasn't interested, but he kept persisting and kept pushing the door onto my mum. My dad heard all the commotion and shouted, "Who's at the door, love?" The man must have heard my dad, because as soon as he spoke, he let go of the door and started running. My mum closed the door and went up to my dad and told him that there was a guy trying to sell something, and he tried getting into the apartment. But as soon as he heard his voice, he started running. She doesn't know what he'd have done if he'd have got into the apartment, whether he'd have tried something, or if he really was trying to show her how it worked. But either way, I know that she never wants to meet him again. Number 6. In this story, I'm going to tell you the reason why I never use Uber anymore. So one day, I had just finished work and needed a ride home, so I called for an Uber. After waiting about 10 minutes for it to arrive, it finally turned up. So I got into the passenger seat and told the driver where I wanted to go. He started taking me home, and then started talking to me and asking me really personal questions, such as, do I have a boyfriend? What kind of underwear are you wearing? And stuff like that. It was really creeping me out, because I'd not even been in the car for more than 2 minutes, and he was already being really creepy. Then he kept looking at me, and staring, and then kept looking back at the road, and smiling. I was getting really freaked out. What was he thinking? Is he going to try something? All of a sudden, he moved his arm onto my leg, and said it's okay. I pushed his arm off of me, and told him to just get me home quickly. He let go and started smiling. At this point, I just really wanted to get away from him, but I couldn't exactly jump out of the car, seeing as how we were moving. We were about 5 minutes from my home now, and he was still asking really creepy questions. Then it got to the point where I just looked at him, stared him dead in the eye, and said, "Look, I'm not interested, okay? Now please just take me home." He stopped and didn't say anything, just looked at me. Then he kept driving, took me back home, and didn't say anything. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he thought I was interested, or maybe he was going to do something even worse. But I'm glad I told him straight. Ever since that day, I never used Uber, and probably never will. I know this story is not as creepy as many other stories you've heard, but I just thought I had to share it because it was really creepy for me. So, creepy guy who felt me up and asked really creepy questions in an Uber? Let's not meet. Number 5. I have just recently broke up with my ex, and I'm telling this story now because he keeps following me everywhere and keeps doing really creepy things, and so I need some advice on what I could do, because the police can't really do anything, because he's not done anything super bad just yet. But this is a story of the things he has been doing. So it all started when I broke up with him. I kept getting really creepy texts from him, saying that he still loved me, and if I didn't take him back, he would kill me, and then himself, so we could be together forever, and loads of other creepy things, such as knocking at my door late into the night. No matter what time of the night it was, I would always manage to get a text at least one time in the night. I would usually have him come into my door at like 12 o'clock at night, begging me to take him back. This one time I went shopping at my local supermarket, and as I was getting some bread, I saw him at the end of the aisle staring at me, just watching me. And then as I went to go collect some more things for my shopping, I saw that every time I went into a different aisle, he went into there as well. I encountered him again the other day whilst I was waiting for a cab. I was just stood there outside my house waiting for the cab, and I saw him at the end of the street walking towards me. Luckily the cab turned up before he could get any closer to me, and I just got in the cab, looking back at him as he stood there staring at me. He keeps doing things that are really creepy, such as leaving me notes saying that he wants me back. I don't know what to do, but things keep getting a little bit worse. Aside from him knocking on my door at night, and getting creepy texts and notes, and him standing staring at me, I feel like soon he's going to actually try something, and it's not going to be good. I'm getting super creeped out about this, and I have no idea what to do. The police said I can't do anything, because he's not done anything against the law just yet. I just want a little bit of advice of what to do. If anyone's had the same problem, please let me know, because I really need some help on how to get rid of him, and let him know that I'm no longer interested. Number 4. There's this really creepy kid at school, who always sits next to me during maths. No one really talks to him, he's kind of a loner, but during maths he always talks to me for some reason, but not in a good way. He always talks to me, telling me about how he's gonna kill people, and how he's killed animals before. He always says really creepy things to me, like he's going to take someone, and he's going to fuck them. This creeps me out a lot, because I don't think anyone else has heard it before. He always says stuff like, once I'm older, I'm gonna get a gun, and I'm gonna kill everyone in this school. I don't even care. He's always telling me about animals that he's killed before, and how he used to have some pet hamsters, but he flushed one of them down the toilet, and he just starved the other one, watching it, as it died in pain. This guy is really creepy, and I've tried talking to teachers about him before, but they can't really do anything, because he's not really done anything wrong. I've also talked to my friends about this, and they've said to just ignore him, that he's just a weirdo who needs some attention. I'm still a little bit creeped out though, because he always says it with a serious face, and he never seems to be laughing. I honestly think that soon he may actually do something, and I'm really scared just to see if that happens. As of yet, he's not done anything out of the ordinary, and I think some teachers are starting to talk to him a little bit more. But I'm not too sure. I only have a couple years left in school, so hopefully after that, I'll never have to see him again. Number 3. The other day I was in my apartment building alone, just watching some TV. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and I was just about to get ready for bed, until I heard this bang coming from outside. I thought it was just a deer or something, because they are pretty common from where I live, and so I just brushed it off, turned off the TV, and went to my bedroom to get ready for bed. As I was brushing my teeth, I heard another bang, but this one was a little bit louder now. So I looked out my bedroom window, and I saw what looked like the figure of a man, looking through my bins. I don't know what he was looking for, but I was kinda creeped out. But then it got even worse. He started trying to look through the windows of people's apartments. By the way, I live in one of those apartment buildings where there are windows all on the bottom floor. Anyway, I see him looking through each window, and then he's getting closer and closer to mine, and so I hide behind the curtain. As he gets to my window, I'm just there holding my breath, but can see him out of the corner of my eye looking in. He doesn't see me there, and so goes along to look at the other windows. I was seriously creeped out at this point. What do I do? Do I get into bed? Do I call the police? I have no idea. After about 5 minutes of worrying, I hear him leave. I leave it about another 10-15 minutes just to make sure he's fully gone, and he is. This is the only night I've seen it happen, and I'm not sure if it's happened any other nights. But hopefully, I never have to see him again. Number 2. This happened to me when I just started university. I was sharing an apartment complex with these two other people, and they were pretty nice. We used to hang out a lot in high school, and also in college, and so it was pretty nice to share an apartment with them both. One night, they had both gone out with some other friends, and so I was left in the house alone. I didn't lock the door because I didn't really see any need to, because they'd be home soon. So I was just in the house alone, with the door unlocked. It wasn't late into the night either. It was about 6 PM, but I was getting kind of tired, and so I decided to go get a shower before going to bed. About 10 minutes into my shower, I heard my phone start ringing. So I answer it while still in the shower. I have a waterproof phone, by the way. And my friend is on the phone, and asks me if I'm in the house. I tell her I am, and she says to me, "Are you walking about?" And I tell her that I'm in the shower, and then she says, "You have to get out of there. Now." One of the neighbours just called me, said that they saw someone walk into the house that they didn't know, and they are now walking about. I froze. I was so scared that I didn't know what to say or do. I was in the shower, on the phone with my friend, whilst there was a man walking around in the apartment. Wow. I quickly got myself dressed and ran out of the door. I didn't know what to do. I was still on the phone with my friend, and she told me that one of the neighbours had called the police, because they weren't sure if it was someone they knew. I was waiting for what seemed like hours, but was probably about 5 to 10 minutes, and the police finally arrived. When they searched the house, they found a man under the bed with a knife, and he was waiting for one of us to go into the bedroom, and was probably going to kill us. I was so scared that night that I couldn't even sleep. From now on, I always make sure to lock the door, no matter who's in the house. Number 1. This story isn't as much scary as it is creepy, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So when I was younger, about 10 or 11 years old, me and my family used to go to my nana's house for Christmas dinner, and so would my cousins and auntie. And so one Christmas day, we all went there. While my nana was cooking dinner with the rest of the family, me and my cousin decided we wanted to go out and play. Now, where my nana lived had a little area behind her house where there was kind of an estate where you could run about and stuff. So me and my cousin decided to play there. Me and my cousin decided to play hide and seek, but there was a barrier, so we weren't allowed into the alleyways or off the estate. So I was the one who was counting. I started counting to 50, and my cousin went to go hide. After I finished counting, I started to wander about and look for him. As I was walking about, I could hear some girls laughing. I kept walking closer and closer towards them because I was still searching. And then I got to an alleyway, and there was like 6 to 7 women, all dressed in schoolgirl outfits, walking towards me and smoking cigarettes. I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, maybe they're teenagers and they're just having a smoke. And so I just kept searching for my cousin, but started walking in the opposite direction. I was a little bit freaked out because I was a paranoid kid anyway. So as I was walking away from them, I heard one of them shout, "Hey kid." I turned around and saw that the women were walking towards me and laughing. I started to walk away again, trying to pretend like I didn't know they were talking to me. Then they circled me. All 6 of them circled around me, and I was trapped. I distinctly remember one of them pretending to drop her cigarette, and as she bent down to pick it up, she slid her hand on my leg, and then started laughing. I was seriously freaked out at this point. They started getting really close to me and pushing up against me, and kept touching me. I pushed past them and ran back towards my nan's house. We had gone through my nana's back gate, and I was pretty close to it, so I decided to climb over it. As I climbed over it, I was sat on the top of it, and they were all shouting up to me, telling me to get down, and asking me if it hurt sat up there. Then one of them grabbed my leg and tried pulling me down, but I just lifted it up, and just stood on the bin, looking over at them. I heard one of the women say, "Oi girls, stop it, you're scaring him." And then they just started laughing, and started to walk away. After about 5 minutes of them going, my cousin came back and asked me what had happened. I just said I didn't want to play anymore. And then he asked me if I saw the girls that was in the alleyway. So I told him yes, but I didn't tell him the story. It's 8 years later now, and I've not told anyone of this story before. But I hope that them girls were actually only playing around and weren't being serious. Either way, I hope to never meet them again. Well, anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed them, please leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any stories of your own which you would like to have shared, please make sure to contact me, link in the description, and you may be featured in a future video. Well, anyway, I hope to see you soon, and I'll speak to you later.